Stretch Armstrong and the Flux Fighters was a Netflix animated series that I barely see anyone talk about these days. When I see people talk about Netflix cartoons, it's all about BoJack Horseman or She-Ra or how bad Voltron was, but I don't hear much people talk about this series, and that's a shame because I think this fills a void that's currently lacking in TV animation. Back in my day in the 2000s, there used to be a ton of action-focused cartoons like Samurai Jack, Spectacular Spider-Man, Megas XLR, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and so much more, but as the years go by, they're becoming a dying breed and don't get much attention by the networks if they are made, and Stretch Armstrong is a throwback to that wonderful era of action. Showrun by Victor Cook and Chris Wyatt, who have credits in many excellent 2000s Marvel cartoons like Spectacular Spider-Man and Iron Man: The Armored Adventures, this cartoon uses a 1970s toy named Stretch Armstrong as a basis to build an entire world of superheroes and villains, which sounds crazy given that the original toy is just some buff man in his underpants that stretches, but they made it work. The series follows Jake Armstrong, Nathan Park, and Ricardo Perez as they accidentally gain stretching powers thanks to Flexarium, a mysterious substance that Rook Unlimited is testing out. After attempting to use these newfound powers to fight crime, the CEO of Rook Unlimited, Jonathan Rook, recruits them to become the Flux Fighters, Charter City's official superhero team. The plot is pretty basic, with nothing really new or special about it compared to other superhero stories, but it's done really well, even if it is predictable at certain points. As for our characters, Jake is your average good boy protagonist who gets straight A's and tries to ask out the girl of his dreams while balancing his superhero life. Nathan is the timid best friend of Jake, and Ricardo is the goofball of the group. These are pretty basic archetypes for a superhero cartoon, but these characters are written well with funny banter and engaging moments of character drama, which are enhanced by the excellent voice acting from the cast, which includes Scott Menville, who voiced Robin in Teen Titans, Steven Yeun, who played Glenn on The Walking Dead, and a bunch more voice acting regulars that you probably heard the work of, but don't know the names unless you're like me and Google this stuff on a daily basis. On the topic of sounds, the music at this show is surprisingly great. It makes the fights that much more impactful. I love that when the villains show up, they each have their own musical style to accompany them, like Circuit Stream's techno beats and Smokestack's sinister jazz. The art style and character designs are pretty simple, but that simplicity leads to more fluid fight scenes, since it's easier to draw the characters, which definitely worked in this show's favor of how good the fight scenes are. And if the figures were still in stores, I would totally buy tons of figures of these guys. As mentioned before, Stretch Armstrong and the Flux Fighters doesn't do too much new for superhero shows, nor is it a masterpiece of storytelling, but dang it, it's just a fun show to watch. I mentioned at the beginning that I consider this a throwback to the 2000s age of action cartoons, and the simplicity is a big reason why. Back before YouTube critics made audiences think that we should expect perfection from everything you watch, or fandoms became giant mobs of harassment, you would just watch a cool show and enjoy it for what it is. And this show takes me back to those simpler times. I implore you all to watch Stretch Armstrong and the Flux Fighters, as it's only 23 episodes and a special. I do wish we could have gotten to season 3, but I'm happy this show existed at all.